Are you serious right now? I whispered, staring at my mom's hand as she turned the hotel room key in the lock. Her lips curled into that cold little smirk I'd seen too many times growing up. Yes, Rachel, serious. Do you really think we want you tagging along on the yacht today? You'll just embarrass us in front of everyone. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos. And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us, what would you do in this situation? Be honest. Tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. I felt the sting like a slap, my stomach twisting, breath catching in my throat. My dad stood behind her, arms crossed, looking impatient. My younger sister, Claire, rolled her eyes like this was routine. Mom, you're joking, right? My voice cracked as I stepped closer, but she pushed the door shut from the outside. The click of the lock echoed louder than any scream. From the hallway, my dad's voice carried through the door. Don't cause a scene. Stay put. Order yourself room service or something. We'll be back tonight. I pressed my palm against the door, heart pounding so fast it hurt. You can't just lock me in here. What is wrong with you people? No answer, just the sound of their laughter fading down the corridor. And then, silence. I backed away, my chest tightening, fury rising with every second. My eyes darted around the room. This wasn't some budget motel. It was a luxury hotel overlooking the marina in Miami, where they'd decided to celebrate Claire's birthday. My family had no problem flaunting their money in public, no problem showing off. But when it came to me, I was always the one they shoved in the shadows. The curtains were wide open, and through the glass balcony doors, I could see the glittering water below. The massive white yacht rocked gently in the waves, and I spotted them, my family, already boarding, drinks in hand, smiling like they hadn't just locked me away like some disgrace. Claire posed for selfies while my mom adjusted her sun hat. My dad chatted with one of his business partners. They looked picture perfect. Something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to sit here like a prisoner, humiliated while they played their little game of, we're too good for Rachel. Number not this time. I yanked the balcony door open and stepped outside, the warm ocean breeze slapping against my skin. The glass railing overlooked the busy docks below, where music played and tourists strolled past. My pulse roared in my ears as I leaned over the edge. The anger burned so hot it overpowered the fear. For years, I'd swallowed their insults, endured being the family punchline. But right here, right now, I realized something. They underestimated me. I wasn't weak, and I wasn't staying locked away. I pushed my hair out of my face, grabbed my bag, and dialed a number I hadn't called in years. Rachel? A familiar voice answered on the second ring, cautious. Ethan, I said, my voice trembling with a mix of nerves and adrenaline. I need a favor, right now. There was a pause. Where are you? I glanced down again at the marina. My family was laughing, clinking champagne glasses as the yacht engines roared to life. Miami, the Suncrest Hotel. My family just locked me in my room to stop me from going with them. Silence on the line. Then Ethan's voice, sharp and decisive. Stay there. I'm coming. I ended the call, my breath shaky but steadier than it had been minutes ago. I didn't know exactly what I was about to set in motion, but one thing was clear. This time, I wasn't going to let them win. My reflection stared back at me from the sliding door, eyes blazing, fists clenched. They thought I'd sit here crying, maybe order a sad little sandwich and wait for their return. They had no idea what was coming. And deep down, I couldn't wait to see their faces when everything turned around. I didn't sit down. I grabbed my bag and went straight for the balcony, heart still hammering. Through the glass railing, I could see them laughing on the yacht like I didn't exist. My phone shook in my hands as I dialed Ethan. He picked up fast. Rachel. Yeah, I need you, I said. My voice cracked, but the fire underneath was steady. Suncrest Hotel, Miami. My family locked me in the room and left me behind. Silence, then his voice came sharp. Stay where you are, I'm coming. 20 minutes later, his SUV screeched up to the curb. Ethan stepped out, same piercing eyes, same calm presence I remembered. He didn't waste time with pity. Get in. We drove toward the marina. I spilled everything in a rush, the lock, the humiliation, the way they smiled for cameras while I stood trapped. They think I'll just sit quietly, I finished, staring out the window. Ethan's hands tightened on the wheel. Then let's prove them wrong. When we reached the docks, the water glittered under the sun, boats rocking gently. And there it was, the blue water yacht, my family sipping champagne like royalty. Want to confront them here? Ethan asked. I shook my head, fire rising in my chest. Not yet. I don't want a scene. I want them to see I won't be hidden anymore, on my terms. Ethan studied me, then gave a small nod. Then let's do this right. Quiet, controlled, where they can't twist the story. For the first time all day, I felt steady. My family thought locking me away would silence me. They had no idea I'd come back stronger. The closer we got to the marina, the louder the sound of music, chatter, and boat engines became. My stomach twisted when I spotted the yacht again. My family clinking glasses, Claire's phone already raised to capture the perfect luxury shot for her followers. Ethan leaned on the railing beside me as we waited. For a small charter boat Marisol his contact had arranged. You're sure you want to face them out here? He asked. Yes, I said firmly. They humiliated me in public. I'll stand in the same sunlight they tried to keep me from. This time, they'll have to see me. The boat cut across the waves, spraying salt water against my arms. I stood at the bow, hair whipping in the wind, my eyes locked on the blue water yacht. Every laugh drifting across the water only fueled me more. Your dad looks right at home, Ethan muttered, pointing, like a king on his throne. I smirked bitterly. He always does. But today, that throne isn't as untouchable as he thinks. When we reached Hollover Sandbar, the yacht was anchored among dozens of boats. Music blasted, people danced, and strangers mingled chest-deep in the water with drinks in hand. It was the perfect stage, public enough that my family couldn't twist things behind closed doors. We anchored close but not too close. I stood tall, letting the sun hit me full, refusing to shrink the way they expected. My mom's head turned first, her smile faltered. Then Claire froze mid-selfie, lowering her phone slowly. My dad was the last to notice, his expression darkening like he'd swallowed something bitter. I didn't wave, I didn't yell. I just stared back, steady and calm, making it clear. I wasn't locked away anymore. Ethan's voice broke the silence between us. You ready? I nodded, my throat dry but my heart steady. More than ever. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one hiding. They were. The yacht loomed larger as Ethan's boat pulled closer, its polished white hull gleaming under the Miami sun. From this angle, I could see everything. The crystal glasses lined neatly on a side table, the expensive charcuterie boards, the way Claire posed at every corner like the world was watching her. But this time, the world was watching me. Hold steady, Ethan told the captain, then glanced at me. They see you. They're rattled. Use it. I stepped forward, gripping the rail, refusing to let the tremor in my hands show. My dad moved to the edge of the yacht, one hand resting on the polished railing, his voice booming across the water. What do you think you're doing, Rachel? This is a private gathering. I met his glare head on. A private gathering you locked me out of? Or should I say, locked me into a hotel room? Gasps rose from some of the guests behind him. My mom's painted smile faltered for the second time that day, her eyes darting nervously to the strangers who had overheard. Don't twist this, she snapped, her voice sharp as glass. We just didn't want any tension today. Claire's birthday should be elegant, not ruined with your drama. My fists clenched. Drama? You call locking your own daughter in a hotel room avoiding drama? Do you even hear yourself? Claire stepped forward, her phone still, in her hand, though she wasn't recording now. For once, her confidence cracked. Rach, maybe this isn't the place. This is exactly the place, I cut her off, my voice steady, louder now. You wanted to keep me hidden? Embarrassment, burden, failure, right? That's the story you've sold for years. But today, everyone sees the truth. You locked me away like I was nothing while you smiled for your photos. And now you can't pretend it didn't happen. The crowd on the yacht shifted uneasily. Some of my dad's business partners exchanged uncomfortable glances. Even strangers on nearby boats had turned their heads, curious. The air thickened with tension. My dad's face flushed crimson. You're humiliating yourself, he growled. Get off that boat before you embarrass this family further. I laughed, a sound I didn't even recognize in myself. It was sharp, bitter, but free. Embarrassing this family? No, Dad. You've done that all on your own. I'm just finally shining a light on it. Ethan's voice rose from behind me, calm but cutting. Funny thing about sunlight, it shows everything people try to hide. All eyes snapped to him, the stranger standing solidly at my back. And for once, I didn't feel small. I felt untouchable. I climbed onto the ladder connecting the two boats, each step heavy with the weight of years I'd spent silent. My mom's voice trembled as she tried one last time. "Rachel, please, don't do this here. People are watching." I lifted my chin. "Exactly. People are watching. Which means, finally, you can't lie about me anymore." I stepped onto the yacht, my sandals hitting the deck with a finality that silenced everything. The music, the whispers, the laughter. My family stared at me like they didn't recognize me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the forgotten daughter locked behind a door. I was the storm that had finally arrived. The silence on the yacht was suffocating. Every guest, every business partner, every so-called friend of my parents froze, eyes darting between me and the family that had just been exposed. I stood tall in the center of the deck, my voice low but steady. You thought locking me away would erase me, but here I am, and every single person here knows what you did. My mother's lips parted, trembling with the effort of holding her mask in place. "Rachel, you're being dramatic," she said, forcing a brittle laugh. "We never meant harm. It was just control." I cut in sharply, the word hitting like a slap. "That's all it ever is with you. My entire life. You've told me I wasn't good enough. Too quiet, too different, too much of a liability to show off at your parties. You silenced me, mocked me, treated me like baggage you had to carry. But today?" I spread my arms, turning to the crowd of strangers watching. "Today you showed everyone exactly who you are." Claire stepped forward, but her voice was smaller than it had ever been. "Rachel, stop. You're making a scene." I turned on her, the sister who had never once defended me. "A scene? You think this is a scene?" "No, Claire. This is the truth. And you can dress it in designer clothes and stage it in front of cameras, but you can't erase the fact that you stood there smiling while they locked me in a room like I was worthless." She flinched, her phone lowering completely. For once, she had no comeback. My father finally stepped closer, his face dark with fury. "Enough," he barked. "You've embarrassed this family long enough. Leave before I have you removed." I met his glare head-on, my voice calm but cutting. "No, Dad. You don't get to silence me this time. You've built your empire on appearances, but all of that means nothing if people see the truth. And right now, they see it." I gestured around us, the uneasy eyes of his colleagues, the whispers, the strangers craning their necks from other boats. You think power makes you untouchable, but power isn't about money or yachts or who raises their glass to you at parties. Power is about integrity, about who you are when no one's watching. And when no one's watching, you lock your daughter in a room like she's your dirty little secret. A murmur rippled through the guests. My father's jaw clenched, his hand gripping the railing so tight his knuckles whitened. He was losing control, and he knew it. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only he and my mother could hear, though everyone could see the steel in my eyes. "You wanted me gone because you thought I'd embarrass you, but you should have thought twice, because the only embarrassment here is you." Ethan, still on the smaller boat, raised his voice just enough for the crowd to hear. "For the record, Rachel didn't just show up today. She saved someone's life 20 minutes ago. A paddleboarder got tangled in your stern line while your crew wasn't paying attention. She cut her free. She knew what to do because she trained for it. While you were sipping champagne, she was protecting strangers." The deck went utterly still. Heads turned back to me, and suddenly, the humiliation they wanted me to wear like a badge was gone. In its place was respect, sharp, undeniable, and mine. My mother's hand shook as she reached for her glass. My father's face drained of color. Claire just stared, her mouth open, her phone hanging uselessly at her side. I took one last breath and said the words I'd carried for years. "I don't need your approval, I don't need your money, and I sure as hell don't need to beg for a seat at a table where I was never wanted. I've built my own life, one you'll never control again. Locking me in that room wasn't the end, it was the beginning." And with that, I turned. The crowd parted as I walked back to the ladder, their eyes following every step. My father didn't move. My mother didn't speak. Claire looked like she might cry, but for once, her tears weren't mine to carry. Ethan reached out a hand from the smaller boat, steady and sure. I took it without hesitation, stepping off the yacht that had always felt like their fortress. and now looked more like a prison. As our boat pulled away, I looked back one last time. My family stood frozen, their perfect image shattered in front of everyone. And in that silence, I realized something I never had before. I wasn't the one who had been locked away all these years. They were, locked in their vanity, their lies, their fragile little empire. And I was finally free.